Live.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and happy Republic Day. It gives me great pleasure to be bringing you today's Roznama, the Roznama of Republic Day. This is, of course, our daily live newspaper analysis, and I welcome you all to it. So, of course, today was Republic Day, but all of you know that we are doing a newspaper analysis. So, the important events of today will actually be covered in tomorrow's daily newspaper analysis. So, let's make a start and see the events that have been highlighted in today's newspapers, particularly in the Hindu and the Indian Express. Okay. Of course, I've already wished you. I really liked this particular cartoon from Amul, I think, which was published both in Indian Express and the Hindu, Sabka Fundamental Bite. The question you should know about from a Clat perspective is, of course, which part of the Constitution deals with fundamental rights. So, if you did not know, the answer, of course, is Part 3 of the Constitution. Let's now make a start. So we have the first article here. This is an editorial. I just put this down. It was a good article. And more than anything, I wanted to take the opportunity of this article to discuss a few important details related to Republic Day and, of course, the history of the Republic Day. Now, as all of you know, the Constitution of India was ready by 26th of November 1949. This is the date on which it was adopted by the Constituent Assembly. So that was the 26th of November 1949. And that is what we observe these days as Samvidhan Divas or Constitution Day. Okay, so always keep that in mind. Interestingly, on the same day as Samvidhan Divas, we also observe National Milk Day. Okay, and why is that? That is because of the birth anniversary of Dr. Verghese Kurian, the father of the White Revolution in India, of course, intimately associated with the Amul movement centered from Anand, Gujarat. Okay, so please keep that in mind. You can also take this opportunity to revise the various color revolutions, the father of the green revolution in India, in the world, blue revolution, etc., etc. Okay, so the constitution was ready by Samvidhan Divas, the 26th of November 1949, but the constitution makers still decided that they would wait for 26th of January 1950. Okay, by the way, by 26th of Jan 1949, the constitution was adopted, which is why the date mentioned in the preamble of the constitution is the date of that Samvidhan Divas. Now, why did the framers decide to wait till 26th of Jan 1950? Because they wanted, hope and history to rhyme. And way back on 26th of Jan 1930, actually, the Indian National Congress had observed an Independence Day, right? This is right after the 1929 Lahore session of the Indian National Congress, which had been presided over by Jawaharlal Nehru, and which is where the Purna Swaraj resolution was made for absolute independence, for absolute sovereignty. Okay, so just keep those things in mind. And it is because of this that Republic Day is observed on the 26th of Jan 1950. Okay, so I just wanted to flag that. In this article, there was an important detail which had been flagged. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. You can see here a particular resolution is mentioned here called the Objectives Resolution. So this is one of the important documents in the history of the framing of the Indian Constitution. Very soon after the Constituent Assembly was formed, the Objectives Resolution was introduced in the Constituent Assembly. And it was, of course, passed relatively soon as well. Okay, so what are the details to keep in mind? Number one, what ultimately became the preamble was basically based on the text of the objectives resolution. That's number one. Number two, who introduced the objectives resolution? It was Jawaharlal Nehru, later to be the first Prime Minister of independent India. And number three, this is homework for all of you. You have to know the dates of the introduction of the objectives resolution and the date on which the objectives resolution was passed. Okay, so this is one of those details because of which I wanted to flag this article for you. Okay, let's move ahead. Now, the Hindu publishes this daily quiz. I wouldn't say it's relevant for you for competitive exams every day, but there are a few days when it's right on point and it gives you a lot of varied information, a deep dive into a particular topic. So today's Republic Day quiz is actually about the very niche subject of the chief guests of Republic Day. Okay, but for your purposes, the relevant ones are the first chief guest on 26 Jan 1950. That was President Sukarno of Indonesia, and the chief guest in 2026, right? So this year's chief guests are two in number, both senior leaders of the European Union. Number one, Antonio Costa, President of the European Council, and Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission. Okay, please pay attention to their names and their designations because the European Union has several similarly named organs or institutions. So I just wanted to take this sort of daily quiz in the Hindu as an opportunity to flag those two questions. Obviously, they are here not just as chief guests of the Republic Day. Tomorrow, we are likely going to hear news about trade with the EU as well as a defense pact with the EU. So I flagged those articles as well. We are going to see them soon. Now, an important piece of news yesterday was the announcement of the national awards, right? So two sets of awards were announced yesterday. Number one, the national awards. By that I mean Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan. And number two, the gallantry awards. That is to say Ashok Chakra, Kirti Chakra, Shaurya Chakra, and so on. Okay. So obviously a lot of people get these awards. You can see that 131 people in total got the Padma awards. That is Padma Shri, Bhushan, Vibhushan together. Number one, what is it that you have to remember? It is the hierarchy of these awards, right? That is to say, India's highest civilian honor is the Bharat Ratna, right? Remember, this is not a title. It is simply an award for services to the nation. Then at number two is the Padma Vibhushan. Number three is the Padma Bhushan. And making up the bottom tier is Padma Shri. I mean, I've said the word bottom tier there, but of course, these are national awards. And even the bottom tier of this award means that the person has likely achieved a whole lot in their life. So Padma Bhushans and Padma Shris are given to so many people that we don't have to remember them for competitive exams. Okay, not to belittle any of their achievements. However, Padma Vibhushans are rarer. This year, in total, 5 people have received Padma Vibhushans. You can see their pictures and names on the screen on the bottom table. Okay. So 5 people have received the Padma Vibhushan awards. Who are they? Of course, recently the actor Dharmendra had died. He has received the Padma Vibhushan posthumously in the field of arts. For arts themselves, N. Rajam has also been awarded. For public affairs, that is to say, usually this means politics or bureaucracy or things like that. There are 2 people, K.T. Thomas and V.S. Achuthanandan. Okay, K.T. Thomas and V.S. Achuthanandan. And finally, for literature and education, we have Mr. P. Narayanan. Okay, so these 5 individuals have received the Padma Vibhushan. As I said, you do not have to remember the Padma Shris or the Padma Bhushans, which is why I have extracted these articles in this form. Okay, so please, this is absolutely important. You can take this opportunity to check out the important top national awards of other countries, such as the US. Okay, moving on. As I said, not only have the Padma Awards been announced, but also the Gallantry Awards. Now, just remember, gallantry generally means bravery in the English language. In India, there are two categories of gallantry awards. One category is of wartime gallantry, okay, or in the line of action. So, what are the 3 levels of that? Paramveer Chakra, Mahavir Chakra, and Veer Chakra. Okay. In fact, one of the rarest awards in the nation's history is the Paramveer Chakra. Very few individuals have ever received this award in the history of our nation. So these three, Paramveer, Mahavir, and Veer Chakra, these are wartime gallantry awards. The other category is, of course, that of peacetime gallantry awards. So these are the awards that have been announced yesterday. So what are the peacetime gallantry awards? The highest peacetime gallantry award is the Ashok Chakra. Okay, its wartime equivalent, meaning the highest wartime gallantry award is the Paramveer Chakra. Highest peacetime gallantry award is the Ashok Chakra. Okay, so I've already told you the hierarchy in terms of the wartime awards. In peacetime, it is Ashok Chakra, Kirti Chakra, and Shaurya Chakra. Okay, in that order. So the biggest piece of news is that the highest peacetime gallantry award, which is the Ashok Chakra, has been awarded to Shubhanshu Shukla, who is from my city, from Lucknow. And obviously, I am pretty sure you know that he is the second Indian to go into space after Rakesh Sharma and the first Indian to go to the International Space Station, which orbits around the Earth. So last year, Shubhanshu Shukla had been a part of mission Axiom 4. And on that mission, he became the first Indian to board the International Space Station and the second Indian to go into space. Okay, so it's a remarkable achievement. And he is also an Air Force officer. So this year, for Peacetime Gallantry Awards, he alone has been awarded the Ashok Chakra, India's highest peacetime gallantry honor. Okay, so this is a very important piece of news, something important not only from the perspective of Republic Day, since the award has been announced near it, second, from the perspective of the topic about space, right? So, and third, from the perspective of the topic of defense and the armed forces. Okay, so this ticks all of those boxes and is absolutely vital for you from the perspective of the exam. Okay, next, we have in front of us an editorial called The Donroe Doctrine, Venezuela's Fragile Pragmatism. Okay, so this, of course, we have covered this particular aspect of international affairs in great detail. I've made a different video about it. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. Even apart from that, over the last few days in our daily newspaper analysis, we have taken a look at this news topic. That is about the US abduction of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores from the city of Caracas in an operation called Operation Absolute Resolve. Okay, and related to this, you must remember the original doctrine was called the Monroe Doctrine, which was a doctrine the US had formulated to keep out Europe from colonizing the Americas or the Western Hemisphere. And now it seems that the US is, reusing this doctrine, renaming it to the Donroe Doctrine after Donald Trump, and, effectively doing colonialism and imperialism in Venezuela. Anyway, so this is a very good editorial. It's an excellent opinion piece. You must go through it. It is in today's The Hindu. Okay. Also, this article is very good for working on your vocabulary and your English comprehension. Okay. So I just wanted to flag this for you. If I had to pick a must read editorial for today, it would be this one. All right. And of course, I suggest that you check out the meanings of pragmatism, right? And look at a little bit the meaning of the Monroe Doctrine. Okay, let's move on. Again, another very important editorial in the Hindu. Actually, this is a deep dive. This is an explainer. In this, the recent crisis related to the governors of various states has been talked about. It's been explained properly along with the constitutional provisions. I had covered this topic for you a few days back, and I think Ananya ma'am has as well. But the long and short of it is that governors of three different states, Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, have been refusing to fully read out the speeches that they are bound to give to the state legislatures. Okay, so the tradition is, the convention is, and even the law laid down by the courts is that when an address is given by the governor to the state legislature, the speech has to be written by the CM and the State Council of Ministers. Meaning the governor is there simply to expound upon the policies of the state government as the state government wishes to communicate. But all of these three, one of them didn't give the speech at all. One of them read the speech but skipped paragraphs which he didn't like. And the third one simply read part of it and then left. Okay, so this is certainly a violation of their constitutional duty. So this article really goes into it. If I can just flag for you the article of the Constitution. The relevant one is Article 176, which provides that at the first session of each year and at the first session after every general election to the state legislature, the governor shall give an address, right? The article says shall. The governor shall give an address laying out the causes of the summons to the members of the state legislature, right? So this article of the Constitution and the Constitutional Convention which goes along with it is being violated by these various governors. Okay, so an important topic, continuing one. This is something that keeps coming up, not only in this, but in other ways. In fact, you might note that in Clat 2026, the one which just happened in December, one of the passages in legal reasoning was about the power of the governor relating to bills passed by the state legislature. Okay, so an important topic. Please do not skip constitutional law. It is vitally important for two reasons or three reasons. It can come up in the GK section. It can come up in the legal reasoning section as a legal reasoning question. And it can come up in the legal reasoning section as a legal knowledge question. Okay, so constitutional law is absolutely relevant. It is not something you can possibly skip. Okay, moving on. Now, this article, you can read it yourself. I did not intend to go into it in great detail, but there is this, website called Anna's Archive, or I should say there is a digital archive called Anna's Archive, which essentially provides access to the knowledge of the world, irrespective of copyright law protections, which is why the word used in the headline is digital piracy, right? It goes on the same lines as Internet Archive and LibGen, but there has been a lot of news related to this almost every year. In fact, I believe last year the Delhi High Court had even issued an order to block this and other websites like this. So I wanted to show you this article mainly to show you this word, which is shadow library. Okay, shadow library. As you know, a regular library is a place which is a repository of knowledge, usually in the form of books or in other forms. A shadow library is one which does provide a repository of knowledge, provides access to knowledge. But in the process, it violates copyright law. Okay. So I just wanted to bring to you this word shadow library. Okay. Please keep it in mind. I have, in fact, in the last 6 months, I have seen it in at least 3 to 4 editorials in the Indian Express and the Hindu. So I just thought I would flag it for you. The next is simply to preview for tomorrow, right? So tomorrow, today, the leaders of the European Union have served as the chief guests of the Republic Day parade. Tomorrow, they are going to do the real work along with the Indian government. Okay. So, what are the two important things? Number one, something which has been spoken about in the last week is that India and the EU are likely to announce a free trade agreement, right? Making it easier for India to trade in the EU and making it easier for the EU to trade in India. Okay, so a free trade agreement essentially to reduce trade barriers like tariffs and quotas. Okay, so that is important. But second, it was reported today that India and the EU not only are going to sign a free trade agreement, but are also likely to sign a pact on security and defense partnership. Okay, a pact on security and defense partnership. So we are going to take a look at it in all of its detail once it is formally signed and announced. But I wanted to preview both of these articles for you. Okay, so two important aspects of the official agenda of the EU leaders visit. Okay, of course, this comes in the context of kind of difficult ties between the US and the EU as well. Okay, next, let me just flag for you. This week, there has been news about elections in two of our neighboring countries with troubled situations over the last 2 years. And in this year, a third neighbor of India, in which there is a troubled political and civil situation, they will also have an election. Okay. So a few days back, I flagged for you the announcement of elections in Bangladesh. Today, I'm flagging for you elections having been wrapped up in Myanmar, which is currently being run by a military junta. It is written as JUNTA, but it's a Spanish word and it's pronounced as junta. Its meaning is committee. Okay, JUNTA in Spanish is junta or committee. All right. And third, later this year, Nepal will also hold its elections, right? As of now, both Nepal and Bangladesh are being run by interim governments. In Nepal, the interim PM is Sushila Karki. In Bangladesh, the chief advisor to the cabinet, who is effectively leading the interim government, is Muhammad Yunus, right? Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus. And in Myanmar, essentially several years ago, there was a military coup where the civilian government was overthrown and the military took over. So right now, the person who leads Myanmar, okay, is a military leader. His name is Min Aung Hlaing. If you want to pause and note it down, you can. Min Aung Hlaing. It is mentioned in the third paragraph on the left here. Okay, so you have to know his name. He chairs the State Administrative Council, State Administration Council. He's also their chief of the army. Okay, and in relation to Myanmar, what you have to know is that they have an official party, which is essentially a military party. It is called the USDP, the Union Solidarity and Development Party. Okay, so essentially retired officers, etc., basically are able to join this party and run for elections. Okay, so that's how it works. In fact, I think Myanmar also has a reservation of seats for military personnel. Okay. Anyway, so we are going to see the final announcement of the victory, etc., in the next few days. So I thought I would flag this for you. Next, this editorial I wanted to flag for two reasons. Okay, mostly to do with GK. You can go through this article, though it is a little bit numbers heavy. One thing I wanted to flag for you is the person who is the author of this editorial, right? That is S. Mahendra Dev. He is the chairman of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. Okay, or it can be said as Economic Advisory Council of the Prime Minister as well. So that person who chairs this body is S. Mahendra Dev. And the second reason I wanted to flag it is for terminology, which is this word Goldilocks. Goldilocks economy. So I've given you a definition of Goldilocks economy. It's basically a description of ideal economic conditions. That is steady employment, steady growth, and low inflation or moderate inflation. That is the classical economics definition of a Goldilocks economy. By the way, this is a word, Goldilocks. This reference is used in relation to astronomy and astrophysics as well. And there they say that the Earth is located in a Goldilocks zone. That is to say, in the perfect place, neither too close to the sun nor too far away. Okay, so this phrase is usually used to indicate ideal circumstances. India's economy is not doing poorly, but I don't know if it's doing as well as is being made out here. Of course, the author is the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council chairperson, so we can expect a little bit of bias there. But overall, I wanted to flag this primarily for the meaning of the phrase and the reference to Goldilocks. Okay. One of the last one or two things, this article, the International Solar Alliance, will continue to expand its footprints. So I'm not interested in the article so much, but I wanted to flag this organization for you. And especially because the United States has recently left the International Solar Alliance. Okay. As you know, a few weeks back, Donald Trump announced that the US would be exiting about 66 international organizations. And one of those was the International Solar Alliance, which is headquartered in Gurugram in India. It was actually the first international intergovernmental organization to be headquartered in India. So I'm just going to flag for you a few points which you should find out about. Mainly, I put this article down simply to flag this topic. So you have to know the person who is the president of the ISA and its assembly, the person who is the director general of ISA. Okay, remember the president is a political person, it's a minister. The director general is the person who runs the organization day to day. I've already mentioned its headquarters, which is in Gurugram in India. And there are more details. You should find out which countries. Before the exam, you must know the latest country to join it, and so on and so forth. Okay. Moving on. The last article for today is about TikTok. Okay. So the article reads, TikTok survives in the US. Could India have taken the same road? Okay. So what is the issue with this? As you know, in India, TikTok was banned a few years ago. Okay. Not only that, it faced issues in the US as well. There was a situation where TikTok was about to go dark in the US. So what happened in the US is the US Congress, which is their parliament, passed a law saying that by this date, if the company isn't run through an entity in the US, we are going to ban TikTok automatically. Okay. So it was essentially a threat. It had been passed even before Trump had won the election, actually, the second time. And it was about to go dark. I think then Trump gave them an extension, as in more time to figure it out. But finally, what has happened is they have created a new entity or company in the US. It's a joint venture where the shareholding pattern is different. And this ensures that the data concerns are addressed. Okay. So, in relation to TikTok, you should know the name of its parent company, which is Byte Dance, BYTE Dance, Byte Dance. Okay. So, this article is essentially about what I just described. Okay. So, that's all for today. I wanted to keep it relatively short. Thank you for tuning in on Republic Day, and I hope to see you soon once again. Bye bye.